Hi, I'm Shayna.
And I'm Tracy, and we are the creators of The Pump a Dump Show. We are moms, but we were women first. And in this podcast, we explore what it's like to be a woman who also happens to be a mom.
Before we were moms, we were women. Before we were moms, we were chilling. Now we're pumping and dumping. We're talking about something. This is the Band of Mothers podcast. Band of Mothers.
We are rolling.
Welcome back, breeders.
What's up, breeders?
Band of Mothers podcast.
I got a little cold.
You do. I'm real sad for you.
You know, it was time. You know, when you get sick
it was
because you were just like,
You're very fatalistic about this when you're like, it was time, it was coming.
I had been healthy for so long, and I just
No.
kind of was like, when am I going to get sick? Hope it's not before New York. Hope it's, and then fine. This week's fine.
Yeah.
What else? I'm going to get my
know.
period tomorrow. It's like perfect time to be
Oh.
sick. Like I don't need to feel great
Oh.
right now. How's my
Again,
voice?
you're like so depressing. I don't need to feel good. It's fine.
Mhm.
Oh.
As I sip coffee, which
I
is like
know.
very healthy, I'm sure.
Hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Hi, Band of Mothers.
What up, Band of Mothers? Gosh, there's a lot of exciting Band of Mothers stuff happening, I feel like.
Yeah.
Um
Tell me.
well, can we talk about our Spotify channel?
Oh, yeah. Talk about our
So we created a Band of Mothers Spotify channel. And all of us, all of the cast members have all created a playlist. So I have a playlist, Shana has a playlist, Jilly has a playlist, Amy has a playlist, Angela, Molly. And it's just like a little Band of Mothers.
It's like a glimpse into our heads, basically. But I just want to full disclosure, my playlist is for a hot bath.
Great.
It's all like a little bit chill.
Great.
Kind of some of my favorite chill
I'm excited
music.
to listen to it in my bath.
So
My
little-
playlist is like my 65 personalities condensed into a few songs. I tried to cover all of
So yours is like all over it's not for a specific, it's not for a
like
run.
of course there's Dolly Parton. And of course there's Aretha Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like Florence and the Machine.
Great.
You know, like it's all over the place.
Okay. So check us out. You'll get a little glimpse into all of our psyches. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, and we'll drill down. We'll do more playlists. I mean, again, like moms, you know, you like to listen to what other people like. So and I think it's fun. Like you'll get to know all of us, all six of us, a little bit better through our music choices, whether
Sure.
you like them or not. I don't know. Maybe no one will ever want to talk to me again. Like, why is she so obsessed with Steve Martin?
Well,
It's just me.
Just
who
there
I
you
am.
are.
But I'm excited for your bath one. So yeah, Band of Mothers on Spotify. And if you don't know, you can also listen to the Band of Mothers podcast on Spotify too. I don't think they're connected like on the same page. I don't really understand Spotify. It's
yeah.
like
But
Bitcoin.
if you listen to you can listen to the podcast on Spotify.
Oh, yeah, for
and-
sure.
And we're trying to get more people to do that. So
yeah, like it's
that.
you can because you can listen to it through your smart speaker or wherever. So and now you can then when you're done listening to us talk, you can like jam out to songs. There's a lot of Lizzo happening.
while you listen to the jamming out songs, you could also go back over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review and subscribe. Because here's why.
Yeah, so here's why, guys.
Ladies.
Every time you guys leave a review or subscribe, or even share a specific podcast episode with a friend, like, hey, I think you really would love this about makeup. Every time you do that, especially reviews, it essentially tells Apple that we have worth and that it's a good podcast. And that allows our podcast to be seen by more people who are searching for the little niche that we have to offer. And it bumps us up in terms of visibility, and that allows us to make our Band of Mothers grow bigger. And so, you know, you guys obviously know we do all of this for a living, and it really helps our movement and our goals if you can subscribe and leave a review and share. Just helps
Yes.
everybody.
Speaking of making a living doing this, now we're going to talk about some things and some brands that don't pay us, but that we really like. Because we're really killing it in that department.
We guys were influencers.
We're influencers by our own accord. We're
You know,
like, we just have to
But
tell
we're
you what we
not.
love.
We just like to talk. I just think it's great. I mean,
I'm all for it.
listen, I'm real excited for Peloton to sponsor us. But in the meantime, happy to tell you about the things that I love.
Oh, and follow along because I may or may not be on the
guys-
road to getting one. We'll see.
On the road, but not a road that moves.
On the
road that's-
virtual.
a
It's
road
like the
that stays.
cryptocurrency of which we'll get to later.
Yes, so we're not paid for these, and that's great. And maybe you don't even care what we like, but we just thought we'd share you because I like to know what my mom friends like, and you're our friends.
Yeah. And then sometimes we'll tell you when someone's paying us to say something. We promise.
We'll be real excited. So Shay thought we should talk about our deodorant.
Oh yeah, so a lot of people on Band of Mothers app, if you haven't downloaded the Band of Mothers app, do so. A lot of people often ask about the big old switch to natural deodorant.
Yes.
Which both Tracy and I have done.
Yes,
We've tried them all.
we've sweated, we've pitted, we've bummed each other out with
I
our
smelled
smells.
so bad in Dallas that we'll never forget it.
I mean,
And I have to say that I've settled on Native.
mhm.
My husband uses Native. It's strong enough for a man and a woman and a kid. My
And it's
9-year-old uses Native.
NATIV. There's no E.
Oh
Is
yeah,
there any?
no, you're correct.
NATIV. Okay.
And there's so many delicious scents that are like non-invasive. They're all natural, and it works. And so, you guys, when you transition, you will smell. You will smell for like a month.
It's
But
just
that's to any natural
Yeah.
deodorant.
And here's why you need to transition, ladies especially. Traditional deodorants are full of aluminum, which clog your pores,
And cause Alzheimer's.
which don't. So the aluminum causes Alzheimer's. There's like scientific fact. And then traditional deodorants, the reason you don't smell or sweat is because it's literally clogging your sweat pores. Now, your sweat pores allow you to sweat out the toxins that your body needs to get rid of. And if you just keep that inside, you're like backing yourself up with shit, you know? And so it's really important as women. There's links to breast cancer and all different kinds of cancers. And like Shayna said, toxicity and Alzheimer's. And so just make that one switch.
Yeah, and it's gonna be like a month of
Yeah.
weird,
And then it's fine. It
and
really
then you're
is
totally
fine.
fine.
And I don't use Native because it has baking soda in it, and that irritates my armpits.
Gotcha.
So a lot of natural deodorants contain baking soda, and you know that I, of course, have tried to make my own. I've made
Of
several.
course you have.
Of course I have. I have to say I have not found one that I have made that I've liked. But I like this spray called Thai Crystal,
Yeah.
and it's not cute or trendy. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that uses it, but I have no problems with it. I don't smell, and it's a clear spray. It's cheap. It's like $5 for this big bottle. I don't like that it's in plastic, but that's okay. And we will. And my husband uses Native.
Yeah.
He loves it.
And
People
you can get
love
it
it.
like at
It's
Target
at
now.
Target
You can
now.
get it at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's pretty great. Or you can order it online. Obviously, I think they have like little sampler packs too. If you're like.
Don't know what scent you want.
Mhm. You can get like 4 little small ones and then keep them for travel if
Love
you don't
it.
really know. So we will link both of our deodorants in the Shop the Podcast area in the Band of Mothers app, which is just, again, not paid, but just all of the things we talk about. So if you're interested or you forgot what we mentioned, you can go back and research it on your own.
That's right.
And that's what we use on our pits.
I also wanted to give all you moms an update on a miraculous air fryer event that happened last night at my house. I was making turkey burgers, and I put the flippin' turkey burgers in the air fryer. 15 minutes, you guys. Perfect turkey burgers. I didn't have to watch them on the stove. I didn't have to turn on the grill.
Did it stink up your house like when you fry burgers in your house?
No,
Really?
no.
You're so happy about them.
I love them. First of all, I love turkey burgers, and I love an easy meal. Okay.
I mean, who doesn't?
A lot of people. You cooked lots of stuff. You like to dirty a lot of dishes and like do.
Well, not on a Tuesday night.
Sure. I just for anything to be simplified and delicious for me, who is a terrible stressed out cook,
Mm-hmm.
it was like a miracle.
So you just turn it on and then they just air fried them.
Yeah, you heat it up for about 3 minutes at 360, and then I cooked them for 15 minutes.
How did you know how to do that? Is there a manual?
It was called the interweb,
Okay.
and I looked up a recipe.
Okay.
Like, can I cook these turkey burgers in an air fryer? And then
The
one
answer
came
is
up.
yes.
The answer was yes. And I honestly might do it for like 13 minutes instead of 15 because they could have been like you know, you take
Don't
we
use
take
the
the
word.
temperature.
Don't use the word.
What word?
Keep going.
Moist.
Don't you use it.
Don't you say it. I used a thermometer to make sure it was 165 degrees.
Mhm.
So my husband is the meat Nazi,
Mhm.
if you know what I mean. Yeah. It's just a nice rich Jewish wife.
Gave
New meat Nazi.
me a watery mouth.
I'm sorry. Anyway, just so you know, that's another thing besides the French fries, besides the vegetables, besides toasting bread. My air fryer cooked my turkey burgers.
So I think you sold me. So now I think I'm gonna have to get an air fryer. I'm gonna
Mhm.
go on to Shop the Podcast on the Bomb app. And I'm gonna click your air fryer that you like because I was at Target and they didn't have yours, and I was like, not buying it. I only
Oh.
want Shayna's.
Chris just ordered it.
I know, but y'all do research, and I was like, well,
Okay.
I want Shayna's air fryer.
Thank you.
So I'm in. I'm
I
in.
want your Peloton.
You can't have it. Pry it from my cold, dead
Butt.
Peloton
It
sore
just
ass.
pried up your butt.
I am so excited for you to get Peloton, but I am not excited for how many days I'm going to have to endure of you complaining about your butt. Like, I feel like I have a high tolerance for pain, and I was like, this is ridiculous.
Mm,
Like, I was texting Lori and Kalani being like, this isn't normal. The pain is not
the
normal.
tender.
And you've got to.
Let's make a bet right now. You guys, we can report back next week
Okay.
if I get one. I'm going to not say anything about my butt.
Okay.
Like, if I say one thing about my butt or complain about the pain in my butt.
To me or to the world? Because you can't.
To you. No, to you.
Well, you'll just do it to everyone else.
Well, that's okay.
Well, friends out there who if you have my phone number, you have to rat her out if she calls you complaining.
I'm gonna keep it to myself. I promise. We can report back.
Look, I support you. It's not even I'm it hurts.
No, I get it. My best man at my wedding, in his speech, said, he was like saying all these things about what it was like to live with me. And he said, if I go to an hour and a half long yoga class, then you need an hour and a half for me to talk about it.
Thank you, Gary.
Just very
Yeah.
true.
So excited and happy for you. Real sad for me.
Not going to talk about the butt. Okay.
Okay.
What
well,
other favorite things?
I was just gonna talk. I drink a lot of tea, and I thought that I've shared about it a couple times, but it sounds really weird. But I love roasted dandelion leaf tea. There's one that's really good from Traditional Medicinals, which is in like every store, and you got to get the roasted dandelion because there's actually two. There's dandelion tea and then roasted dandelion.
Is
And
it caffeinated, decaffeinated?
it's decaffeinated, and it is like a flusher, but not a diuretic. But like I got hooked on because I read on some travel blog, like when you're in the airplane. Have you noticed I always drink it on the airplane? Like like if you get like puffy ankles or your fingers get puffy, if you drink roasted dandelion tea, it like depuffs you. And I found myself like if I have too much wine, specifically wine, because just wine lately, now that I'm old, just makes me feel
Yeah.
like royal shit.
Yeah.
Like even after 2 glasses. If I drink the tea like before I go to bed, I just feel better. Or even in the morning,
Yeah.
it's like a good reset. And I just think a lot of us, you drink too much, like eat too much salt, you have burgers and fries, like all that stuff that kind of affects you.
burger.
No, not if they're air fried. You don't need no dandelion tea. No, but roasted dandelion tea, guys, look it up, Google it. You can figure it out. It'll be linked on the page. But I just really like it. And I keep forgetting to tell people about it because I feel like it's like in my little armory of just kind of feeling better. It's great on planes.
I didn't know about it.
I know, and you've seen me
I
drink
must
it.
have figured it was like a hormone thing. Like this is like a thing, an herb that I need to take for my hot flashes or something.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, no, just drink it. It's good. And it's kind of earthy. But I like the taste. It's not sweet or anything.
All right.
Roasted dandelion tea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll post that on the Bomb app too.
Yeah, and really quick, we're getting ready to start all of our shows. We have almost 40 shows
So far, there will be more.
so far from beginning of February to May. we're just so excited across the country. Everyone can go see a show. Our first 4 shows are sold out like in minutes. We've actually sold out 7 or 8 shows at this point. We keep adding dates. So please, again, on the Band of Mothers app, if you go to events, you can see all the shows there and buy tickets right there. Obviously on our website, thepumpitupshow.com. We're trying to keep up with posting on our Instagram account just to keep everyone aware of the
And if you
cities.
saw the show this fall and we're coming back to your town, there's some new songs. There's going to be a new video. There's just some fun new surprises to kind of mix it up a little bit. So if
Yeah.
you're bringing your sister or your sister-in-law or your bestie that just had a baby, know that it's going to be a fun new experience for you too.
Really fun, great new songs. So get your tickets. And if you are doing something for Galentine's Day or if you want to do a Valentine's Day, it's always a great date night. People ask us that all the time if men can come. Of course men can come.
Yeah. They have
We
a
love
great
men.
time.
We love the motherfuckers.
And so that brings us to today's episode.
I'll take responsibility for this one.
Oh, it's a very interesting subject if you've been interested in it at all.
We are going to discuss cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and WTF is it? Because we didn't know
Right.
at all. I'm not sure I still know.
It's a very abstract idea, but we
Mhm.
have an expert who's delightful.
Mm-hmm.
She's a mom. She lives in Oakland in Northern California, and she's been a communications director at several Silicon Valley
Monoliths.
yes, and now she's in the crypto world, and she's gonna explain it to us the same way she says that she explains it at her kids' basketball games to the other moms.
Yeah.
So if you ever were curious,
this is like a little bit of a red pill episode, but I think, part of what we do is try to just learn about things that we don't have access to, and that's part of Band of Mothers. So let's crypto it out.
crypto time.
Our guest today is Rachael Horwitz. She is the VP of Communications at Coinbase, where she is helping tell the world of all the ways digital currencies are creating an open and fair global financial system. Previously, she was partner at Spark Capital, heading up marketing and communications. And before that, she led the communications teams at both Facebook and Twitter. So she's been in the thick of
Never heard of them.
all the Silicon Valley giants for a long time. You've got all the inside scoop.
In the belly.
In the belly of the beast.
Okay, so tell us what you do now.
So I have been at Coinbase for almost 2 years. And actually I joined the company when it was about, I want to say 7 years old, right after a really big year for one cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. So I don't know if you guys recall, but 2017, you may recall, like somewhere in your peripheral memory, Bitcoin was everywhere that year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all over the headlines. And that's just because the price of Bitcoin soared to really high really quickly. So it went on what everyone calls a bull run. And I think that hit $20,000. So I was at Spark Capital, and what that meant for Coinbase was awareness of this specific cryptocurrency was going through the roof. People were reading about it. People were seeing the price of one Bitcoin go up and up. And actually, a lot of folks who had sort of not been paying close attention to crypto or Bitcoin were kind of dialing in and wanted to own a little bit or play around with it. And so that's where Coinbase came in. And our founder and CEO, his vision from a long time ago, before anyone was paying attention, was to build a super easy way for normal people to be able to buy crypto, and specifically Bitcoin. So exchanging your USD, like your dollars, your local currency for Bitcoin so that you can own some. He literally created an app, that feels like all the apps we use to allow you to do that. So, and so I was the first communications hire, and really the job was build a team. And I've been working for the last 2 years to hire amazing people and shape the communication strategy and work closely with Brian, our founder and CEO, and the rest of the executive team to help the world understand this stuff. That's what I've been up to.
Great.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
start there.
Now explain it.
What is
Okay.
crypto? What is cryptocurrency?
And I should point out, Rachel is a mom. So we love that you've got this perspective. Not only are you a mom, you're a working mom, and you're a working mom in crypto. So you've got a really unique take on this whole world, which is why you're our guest.
Well, thank you. Momming so hard when I'm not in my crypto kingdom for sure. And it's fun because the part of the job at Coinbase that was so appealing to me was explaining this stuff to all my friends, and all my friends are moms. And so I'm at the basketball games on the weekends, and I'm at ballet, and inevitably what each of us does for a living comes up, and then inevitably I'm describing it. So I love talking about crypto and Bitcoin with moms. This is deeply my jam right now, so I'm happy to do it. So what is crypto? Let's see. So we were talking about how, is it crypto? Do you say cryptocurrency? Do you say Bitcoin? So Bitcoin kicked it all off. Roughly 10 years ago, there was a person, no one knows, it's a big mystery. No one knows who they are. They're a very, very smart person, and their name is Satoshi Nakamoto. Have you guys heard of Satoshi Nakamoto?
I've heard of the secret crypto person.
Okay, I feel like I'm telling a fairy tale right now. There was a person named Satoshi Nakamoto. No one knows who they are. And anyways, this person dropped a white paper, basically a plan for this new type of money called Bitcoin. And the money is special. It would be money native to the internet, and it would be managed by code and by what we call a ledger system, which is essentially blockchain. So when you hear blockchain all the time, blockchain is the foundation that these different cryptocurrencies are built on. And Bitcoin has its own blockchain. So when we have normal money in the normal world, how you balance that money, who knows who has the money, right? Like, I have money in my bank account. I send that money to pay rent, or I give my money to a store to buy clothes. And all these different institutions sort of manage those funds and track who has the funds. And you guys know it's increasingly becoming more digital. Bitcoin and the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper sort of reimagined all that. And so instead of institutions like banks and governments managing the flow of the money and tracking who has the money and where it's going, this doesn't require any of those institutions. Blockchain is basically code. It's sort of another way to think of it. This is like incredibly crude, and it may not be completely analogous, but you know how in the old days to connect, like if you called someone on the phone, there were like mostly women, operators like plugging in to connect you, and you sort of like literally needed real world people to like connect those things. And then over time, the internet came along, and this stuff is just working. We can connect like this over a podcast. We can email each other. It's magic. It feels magic. We don't really understand code. We don't understand all the mechanisms that are going into allowing us to communicate this seamlessly. But that all happened, and that changed. That's a lot like money and blockchain. So, and that's what Bitcoin kicked off. So now Bitcoin's become, I call it's the breakout brand of the space. And so it's money. It's like internet money, and it has value. And a lot of people own Bitcoin. Anyone can own Bitcoin now because of services like Coinbase. The funny part is, owning one Bitcoin would be very, very expensive. So most people own fractions of a Bitcoin. And I think you can get started owning Bitcoin for as little as like $5 today. And that would be some tiny fraction of a Bitcoin.
What does that mean? Okay, hold on. What does that mean, a fraction of a Bitcoin?
Well,
I'm imagining this like giant coin like looming and glowing in a corner, and then like I get like a little piece of it like with a Sharpie.
I think she means like if it was $1, you would own like a nickel.
Exactly. So there's only there's a whole system out there that Satoshi Nakamoto created, and
Whoever he is.
whoever he or
she,
we don't know.
yeah.
We don't know. So Nakamoto, he or she set the network up so that the maximum number of Bitcoin will never exceed 21 million. So there's scarcity. So this is hard. This is where you're getting into like monetary theory, and this is what's fun. Like my friends' side of the basketball court, I have this real bee in my bonnet about moms and friends and women who are professionals themselves, like brilliant, doing awesome things, or you know, home and super brilliant, like whatever it is, understanding the future of money. And I think instead of thinking of crypto as and Bitcoin as this thing that's like kind of weird and wonky and for weirdos, I encourage people to dig in and start learning about it, because it would be like kind of brushing off the internet around the AOL days and feeling like I don't need to understand this. Who knows where it's going? It seems like only weirdos are into this stuff and code. Come to find out, like people who were reading about the internet and tried to understand it and understanding where it might lead, they were built, they were the early folks to build great businesses, and they benefited from that on the internet. And they were able to invest in companies, public or private, and see that investment grow over time, because they understood that the internet was a really big opportunity, that we were at the beginning of the upswing. So I always say, think of crypto as a huge paradigm shift that is brought to us by technology. And it is I think the next wave of wave of innovation out of Silicon Valley. And the thing it's going to impact is the future of money.
So for in layman terms, or for an idiot like me, like, are you saying that at some point crypto will be like how we pay for things?
Yes, I'm saying, and so yes, it will be. And when that happens, no one really knows. It could be 5 years from now. It could be 20 years from now. But what's happening in the space is there are a lot of really smart people, technologists, folks from traditional finance, economists, PhDs, like loads of really talented people, again, similar to the early internet days, are flooding into this space and building cool things and pushing this technology forward, making it more scalable, more usable. That's where Coinbase comes in for the average person. And one of these days, there will be some kind of tipping point and the whole thing will break free. So I think what you're seeing now, slowly but surely, is when you hear banks like JP Morgan is going to spin up their own blockchain, like you're probably seeing these announcements bubbling up. What's going to happen is, I think the traditional financial system will migrate to blockchain, and where that leads, no one knows. But what we can sort of assume, and this is why so many of us at Coinbase are here, is that just like with the internet, you guys know technology brings barriers down, right? So folks like you don't have to be Oprah and get a deal with a local studio in Chicago in order to have a media platform, in order to reach a huge audience with millions of people. Like, the internet made that possible for you guys, and it was largely out of reach for the average person. The same thing I think is going to happen with money. And I think as women and moms, you start to, especially in the developed world, like you start to take for granted money in your life, right? You take for granted what it enables. You take for granted your ability to access financial services, what credit does for your life, and what that enables you to do. Like all these things that a lot of us are so privileged to have access to. It could be even better for us, frankly, but it could be way, way better for folks around the world. And so in the same way that very broadly the internet brought those barriers down and democratized like the ability to build an audience and connect with folks, I think crypto is going to drop costs and barriers to entry for people who want access to building wealth, having access to capital, and growing their wealth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what what I was curious about, the why. Why is this? Why did Takahashimoto decide to do this thing, and why are people flooding? What is it? So it's the democratization of money?
Of money, yeah. And actually, I mean, someone else knows this history a little bit better than I, but if you trace the white paper, it dropped around the Occupy Wall Street moment,
Mm-hmm.
and it dropped around that recession in the United States. So I think it's kind of a millennial phenomenon as well, and I think it has its roots in a sense that the current system for who gets access to money, how money is managed, how monetary policy is managed, sort of a sense that I think it's unfair and inequitable. And so that's kind of the ideological roots
Could you give
of
some
this.
examples of how it's unfair?
So I think some examples, take for example, just raising capital, right? You guys have a business,
Oh,
women
we
around
know.
oh yeah, business. But there's a big saying in Silicon Valley that uh, human potential is not evenly distributed, or human potential is evenly distributed, but access is not.
Mm,
So when you see a specific type of person, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world or whoever, they have an idea, they're in college. The reason their ideas scale, the reason they become these massive leaders and build these incredible businesses is partially talent, but partially access to capital,
mm,
right? And
mm-hmm.
so when you think about fundraising, like to start a business and to grow a business in today's economy, a really big option for people and young entrepreneurs, old entrepreneurs, anyone starting a business is you either have to go out and get a loan, or you can go to venture capitalists or banks or people with money and ask them to give you money for a percentage of your business. And think about how that's done today. Just a club in Silicon Valley of people, a lot of men. It's changing, but definitely a lot of men who know each other, and based on their network, decide who they can write $1 million check to. And that works, but I don't know that how fair it is, right? And what if there is someone on in Africa, on the continent of Africa, a woman in Idaho who's home and has an amazing idea.
Mm.
The ability to fundraise, it's hard to get into the mechanics of it, but just like it's hard to get into the mechanics of how we have tiny computers in our iPhones that can order us a black car. That just happens now. One day, for example, something that might be more fair is anyone with a tiny computer in the form of an iPhone and an app could have an idea, put that idea into the world and raise funds. And for some reason, blockchain may enable that at scale in a way that the current financial system doesn't. So that's just one sort of version of what feels unfair today that could possibly, because of technology, when you lower barriers and you lower barriers to entry and you lower costs, kind of democratize things like fundraising. Does that make sense?
Still don't understand how that would
Mm.
make it easier for the lady in Iowa.
So when you can
When more people
eventually
have money, is that what you're saying?
your ability to sell pieces of your business, like to almost like if there's a version of the future of money that's a little bit like Kickstarter. So you know how right now people have an idea, they put it on Kickstarter, and anyone can like kind of hand money over.
Mm-hmm.
Blockchain just makes something like that even easier in terms of giving small, like putting your idea out there, saying, I have this great idea. I'm a mom and I've been a mom and I have this great idea for a product that I want to build. And here's the spec. Here's what I'm going to do. Instead of just simply going through a platform like Kickstarter, you could imagine a ledger system and a token system based on blockchain technology that allows you to give people small ownership over your idea and your business in exchange for funding you at scale, like on a massive scale. That's like would be difficult to manage today, based on the traditional financial system.
So
that's all. Yeah.
In a Kickstarter example, instead of getting a t-shirt for giving $50 to an idea, you would get a small fraction of the company, which then the company would be obligated to pay you a fraction back of profits or dividends.
That's exactly right. And just think about the management of that and the governance of that for an average person today would be quite hard. But this technology has the potential to make things like that easy and accessible for literally anyone. So that's the 20 years out
Mm-hmm.
potentially, but just to give you a sense of why people are so excited about this technology and what it could mean for the world.
Well, right, because so say you got this money through blockchain,
Mhm.
at this point you can't use it.
At this point, so this brings us back to like what is Bitcoin in
Right.
the realm of all these cryptocurrencies and all we sometimes we call them around Coinbase just projects because some blockchains are meant to be money, like stores of value or exchanging value, and some are meant to enable other things like tokens, um, which I can explain, but those tend to be a little bit more early and a little bit different. But Bitcoin was the first, and right now it is valuable, and it's valuable because of it's kind of this wonderful experiment in what gives something value.
Mm-hmm.
And people have decided that Bitcoin is valuable for all these reasons: scarcity, it's internet money. It was the first cryptocurrency, and so some people there's a really passionate Bitcoin community, and some folks who own Bitcoin really feel like people should hold it, like it's a great store of value, almost like gold, and you should hold it. And it's a great way to diversify your portfolio, like of the things you're invested in over the long term. Bitcoin as like an alternative investment makes a ton of sense. Um, other folks are actively trading Bitcoin right now, and they are, it's a little bit speculating on the price, where this is all going to go. And then
They're
some people
trading. Okay,
they're trading.
but they're not buying. They're not like using it to actually get products.
No, then some people are using Bitcoin to buy things. Some people would, not use their Bitcoin to buy things because in the future that that $10 that, pizza you bought, there's a kind of a famous example of this for, X amount of Bitcoin today, maybe it's worth, $10 of Bitcoin today. You could look back because a lot of people believe we're at the early innings of Bitcoin's value. You could look back and say, "Oh wow, had I not bought that, that pizza with Bitcoin, it could have been worth a whole lot more today had I held on to it." So everyone's making different choices about how they view Bitcoin, how they either use it or hold it or trade on it at the moment. And it hasn't played out yet. We will see over the next, I think 2020 will be a really interesting year for Bitcoin, but I think over the next 5-10 years, the story of Bitcoin will be super interesting to watch unfold. And the only way to sort of make a decision about owning Bitcoin, and then once you own Bitcoin, what to do with it, is to just read a bunch. And there's so many resources online, but the more you read and the smarter you get, you'll start to make your own choices about where Bitcoin fits into your money life.
Do you see it as making regular currency
Obsolete.
obsolete and then everyone's just existing on Bitcoin? Because to me, like again, outside of the cryptocurrency land, I look at it and say, well, how does it have value if I I have to hold on to it, and then if everybody else in this entire world still uses traditional currency, it's like, would you have to make everyone stop using traditional currency in order for it to actually pay off? Because
You don't. So right now, a couple of ways to understand this at the moment is how early we are in the evolution of both Bitcoin and crypto as a technology and in terms of adoption. Um, so Coinbase, for example, the reason the company has been so successful and the thing that we do, we connect the regular money world, we call it the fiat universe, your local USD, to the crypto world. So we're that bridge. That's why we have a compliance program. That's why we flag, fraud systems, like all of that stuff. We sort of operate as that go between. So a lot of people know how to get Bitcoin without exchanging it for their local currency. You can mine it. Like there's lots of ways to get a
What does
hold of
that mean?
Bitcoin.
what do
does
you
mining
mean?
Mining Bitcoin is more technical than I know how to explain, but You need a rig, you need a computer, you set up a whole thing. It actually takes a lot of energy, which is fairly problematic. And um, uh, uh, you get to earn Bitcoin this way. This is how Bitcoin is distributed. There's miners all around the world. So it's super complicated. I'm really bad at explaining what mining is, but it's deeply technical.
Is it
So
like
for
printing money? Like if you
I-
were to use it in like regular currency?
exactly. You can like
But there can
mix-
only be 21 million
so
Bitcoins.
one of these days the mining will be over. And then the Bitcoin is in circulation is it. There's no
Who
more
makes
money to
that?
print.
I mean, I know what's his name made that rule, but like how does that actually?
That's just how the system, the blockchain is set up.
And
So
everyone's just sort of like ethically committed to, I mean, what's to say, I mean, the US prints money when we need extra all the time. That's why we have our debt issues and inflation and all that. So who's to say that you're just like at some point not going to be like 21 million is not enough, we need 42 million, let's do another round.
Now you're talking about Bitcoin. Listen to you guys. This is exactly why so many people are so excited about Bitcoin. It's because you cannot print money. You cannot cause inflation. You can't do these things. A way to think of it is there is no one. It's code. It's math. So there's no humans behind the scenes making decisions. It is literally coded in. It's math. It's a computer system. There's no breaking the system. The blockchain is what it is with Bitcoin. How it works is how it works. There's no changing that. So that's how Bitcoin is governed. There's other blockchains that have different rules, but that's how that one is set up. And that's why people believe it has so much inherent value in it. Unlike, say, the dollar or the yen, like it's a different type of store value, this new digital currency.
We just want to pause this interview for a brief but important announcement to share with you about our brand new social media app for moms, Band of Mothers. Band of Mothers is a independent social media app created for moms by moms. It's the community you've always wanted in the digital space, and it's available on iOS and Android.
We really believe in love, not just likes. And social media these days can be daunting and
overwhelming.
To navigate as a mom, especially as a new mom. So we decided to take the conversation away from the regular social channels and give moms a place to have real conversations, mom to mom, without any ads coming through your feeds or
feeling like there's a lot of dissension. I mean, one thing that we're really proud of is we just decided to take a stand that there are no trolls and there's no bullying on Band of Mothers. So if someone goes off on a member and leaves a diatribe that we've all experienced or read online, that person gets one warning. If they do it again, they're out. And
it doesn't mean that we don't support disagreements,
because we encourage it.
But thoughtful conversation is really our goal on Band of Mothers app.
And respectful disagreement, because that's fine.
And kindness, because that's really all we ever need as moms, especially in those early days. But it's a group-based app, and you can join the main group, obviously, when you join Band of Mothers app, but then you can find other groups within for finding like-minded people or people who are in the same struggles as you. If you're a mom of twins, if you just want to learn about beauty and wellness, there's lots and lots of different things to explore on the app, as well as awesome deals in a section we call Bomb Deals. That's kind of like Tinder and Retail Me Not in one place. So you can just nurse your baby and scroll through deals.
Yeah, exclusive deals that are just for this app. We also have our fun section called Shop the Podcast, which shows all of the different products that have been discussed on all of our past episodes. And that's just a fun way to see at a glance. If you loved the skincare episode and can't remember what she talked about, it's all listed. So that's a really fun thing to scroll through. You can access our podcast directly from the app. You can also see all of the upcoming Pump 'Em Up show events directly on the app. And that's just access, but you can DM friends, you can make friends. What you're not going to see is rankings or how many friends people have or how many likes people are getting. And you're not going to have your post be ranked higher than someone else's. It's all equal. And that's really important to us. And we're just so excited for this community to grow. And we just encourage you to download it, check it out, leave some posts. We know it feels different to jump from traditional social media to an independent app, but we promise you the love is there and we just can't wait to grow with you.
And if you set your notifications, you'll just get a notification when people post in the groups that you're in, and it's super easy to bounce in there and check you are on your phone anyway.
Exactly.
So, all right, well, download the Band of Mothers app today because it is really, truly the app where every mom belongs.
And now back to our interview.
So do you personally, can I ask you, do you personally own a bunch of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency?
Yes, well, let me put it this way. I own Bitcoin. I've owned Bitcoin before I came to Coinbase. And I got into owning Bitcoin the way most normal people do, like moms. I started reading about it, especially in 2017. I was fascinated by what the heck is this? I was really completely immersed in consumer tech, right? The internet, social media, Twitter, Facebook. That was like the big stage. That was everything that was going on in the Valley. You kind of always heard of this crypto thing, even here in Silicon Valley, it was like, yeah, there's like people who are really into this. I don't know. And just like you guys, I started reading about it and became really intrigued. And it's not unlike, I think I hit a point in my adult life where I felt like I need to understand investing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I need to understand investing, my money for the long term, understanding the stock market, not just leaving it to like my husband or whatever. Like I need to understand this. So I think I'm like a intellectually curious person by nature, and I think money is so interesting, and this falls into that. So just similar to the stock market, I don't know about you guys, but unless I do something and I have quote unquote like skin in the game, like a little bit, I'm not going to be that interested in it. So I think around 2017, I just bought a little bit of Bitcoin. But it gave me a reason to open the Coinbase app. It gave me a reason to learn about it. Just trying to go through that process of feeling like I own it.
And you bought it with dollars.
Yeah.
This is where I get confused,
Yeah.
right? So how does this work? So say you're a mom at home listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, I get it.
I've got $150.
I have $150.
Yeah.
You would go to a company like Coinbase. You would purchase with current USD.
Yep.
And then you would watch it like you watch the stock market, and then you
Yeah.
would trade it out, or does that defeat the purpose of the current cryptocurrency? Because if you trade it out, you're going back to regular currency, and aren't we trying to get rid of that?
So I cannot give you investment advice, nor can I give your mom listeners investment advice. But I can tell you what so many of our customers do is they take $100, they take $150, they take $25 because they're just like, what the heck is this Bitcoin?
Yeah.
What is that? So if you open the Coinbase app is, safe, secure, easy, super intuitive, and you get started. And yes, you hook up your bank account, your debit card, whatever, and then you can buy however much Bitcoin $100 gets you today. Now, remember, the price of Bitcoin changes a lot. It's been pretty steady over the past year, but it can go up and down $1,000 or so even these days. And sometimes it drops really, it's very volatile.
Why?
Because it's still emerging as an asset class. It's still emerging as a new digital type of dollar. It's not decided what it's going to be. So people are, exchanges like Coinbase are setting a price based on the market, who's willing to pay what for Bitcoin at any given time. So it's kind of like the stock market. It's a bit volatile, or more volatile asset in the stock market. So when you put your $100 in, you might check in one day to the app, and just like a stock market ticker, you'll see Bitcoin. and you'll see your dollar amount, and you'll see the price, how much Bitcoin you own. And there might be some days where the dollar amount for how much Bitcoin you own goes up $100 or it's down $100. If it's money that you can afford to lose in the near term, I think it's worth experimenting with personally. So a lot of our customers are just holding Bitcoin because they like to open the app, they like to understand the swings of Bitcoin in particular. And then we actually have news and information in the app, so you can sort of read about, daily or weekly what's going on in the ecosystem and what may be behind the different price swings. That's what a lot of our customers do.
And then they don't cash, like, so say you put in $100 and then
Hmm.
you check one day, is it possible that your $100 turned into $200?
Is that would mean, I don't think that's possible. That would be a pretty big price increase.
Okay. So see, I'm
So
trying to wrap my head
Hey,
around.
but you're still
yeah,
looking at the value in terms of US dollars. You're not looking
yeah,
at the value in terms of cryptocurrency.
yeah. So some people, if you pop open, I'm looking now. Let's see. So if you pop open your Coinbase app and you're like, I had $100 and now I have $105. I'm gonna take my $5 that I just made off of my $100 and go buy a latte. That's one way you could totally
Gotcha.
view Bitcoin at the moment. Um, yeah,
But
and
isn't
then
the
others,
goal
yeah.
not to, the goal eventually is to not turn it back into regular currency. The goal is that the currency
Mm.
itself, the cryptocurrency, you could pay for your Starbucks with that. Is that kind of what you see 20 years from now?
That's definitely what we see. I think the way our founder, for example, talks about it is in two phases. And I think it's useful to understand these phases. The first is the investment phase. So people are viewing this as a new asset class. Some people view, Bitcoin plus a few other cryptocurrencies as an alternative
And
asset
by
class.
asset class, you mean like, oh, I have some stocks, I have some bonds, I have my 401k, I have my
Exactly.
Bitcoin. Gotcha.
Exactly. So some people, again, this is not investment advice, but you could imagine if you view this technology, crypto, Bitcoin being like a really important part of this ecosystem, you feel like over the long term, 10, 20 years, it's not clear what's going to happen, but similar to the internet, it's highly disruptive, it's really powerful, and it's just going to keep growing. And which way it goes, no one quite knows. It could be that the whole financial system migrates on top of blockchain. Could be that whatever happens, but you have a sense that whatever happens, the price of Bitcoin will sort of track with it. Like there's more upside coming because of the fundamentals underneath this technology. You might decide, just like your 401k, other areas you're placing your investments over the long term, you're going to allocate like a small percentage of it to this technology, this asset class. So some folks are thinking that way. It's early, and that's sort of an investment thesis, and that's sort of an early investment phase way to look at it. And that's what's driving a lot of the space right now. Certainly, Coinbase, our business model is based on the investment phase, frankly, where people want to own a piece of this. They think this is going to go far. Coinbase is the way they can do that. The real value pays off, to your guys' point, in what our founder calls the utility phase. When we move beyond just viewing this as an asset class and just viewing this as an investment, and we are really exclusively exchanging value and money and buying things and building businesses on crypto, on blockchain. He calls it a crypto economy. So it's, in other words, you'll hear is like finance 1.0, and this is sort of the future, this new crypto economy. And again, to your guys' point, what that crypto economy looks like, how it evolves. I don't really think it's about individuals having the goal for what to do with their crypto or how to think of it. Again, I think it's like there's going to be builders, there's going to be coders, there's going to be engineers, there's going to be entrepreneurs. They're going to enter the space inspired by Satoshi Nakamoto and that technology that he invented. And they're building on top of that, and they're adding new ideas and different types of blockchains. And this is going to keep growing, and how it shapes up, again, remains unclear, but I think it's going to be really powerful, and it's going to end up impacting money. And so the easiest way to get involved now as a regular person and to understand it is to either read about it or own a little piece of it. And Bitcoin's an easy way to do that.
And is one of the reasons why this is so attractive is because it lives outside of the government and that this is not regulated in the same way banks are regulated. And so conversely, the risk would be that you're, when I put money into, I open up a Roth IRA,
Mm.
it's protected by I keep wanting to say FDA. It's not the FDA. Like whatever the banking, it's like, what is it? What is it? What am I talking
It's
about?
the Fed. No, not the Fed. It's
It's
protected.
it's protected. Sorry,
Yes.
guys. I can't remember what it's
Yeah.
called. It's protected essentially by a governance and the government so that if your money disappears, you have a way to like get it back or a guarantee sort of. And then that's why the recession happened because nobody got their money back.
Yeah.
So this lives outside of this sort of institutionalized monetary system that we've been all living with since the beginning of our country
Yes. It lives
and then globally as well.
globally as well. So a lot of people think about it this way, like so much of our world is literally going online, right? So our digital lives are real, and most everything we do is now like being sucked up into the internet. Money's no different. It's probably going to go that way. And then the flow of money globally, I think we're used to it because it's been the way things have been done since the beginning of time. And like we were very used to mail for a long time until the internet came along. And when you think about exchanging money, sending money between borders, exchanging money across borders, again, in the US, for example, I don't think we hit these pain points as acutely as other folks, but there's places where there's economic crisis and the value of your money just is obliterated overnight. We've seen this in countries recently. And for those folks, Bitcoin has turned out to be really stable and something they own, and something that if they leave their country where there's economic crisis, they can get access to their crypto. They just need internet.
So this is
And
like what's happening like
yeah,
in Venezuela and stuff
exactly. Like
because the
crypto has,
governments are
yeah,
collapsing.
right,
They're collapsing and they're taking down the monetary system with it, which is
right.
just normal people's money, which is what's keeping
Mhm.
the government afloat in the first place. And so
Mhm.
when it collapses, so does your cash, and you have no recourse, you have no rights, you have nothing, you are nothing. You have
You
no way to get that back.
exactly. Imagine if you were able to use your local currency, exchange it into a to dollar amount or whatever, and then buy Bitcoin somehow. Maybe it's through Coinbase, maybe it's through another service. And then imagine you get out of your country where the economy is collapsing and your money is worthless. I mean, that's a really specific,
That's I
real
get
world
that.
example of if you can make immigrate to the US or you find your way to a different country or Mexico or something, that's still your money and the value is essentially
The
intact.
same.
Yeah.
And then
And that's cross border.
and
Yeah.
that's when you would that's when you would cash it in because you basically uploaded your money
Yeah.
to the cloud
You did.
to leave
It's
the country, and then you download it in a new country so that you have your same money.
another way to think about it is there's a whole nother type of crypto. It's called a stable coin. It's basically a digital dollar that's backed by a US dollar. So it's another way of storing. So you can use Coinbase to put your money into our stable coin is called USDC. It's uploaded. We often talk about it as the difference between a bank account dollar and a digital dollar.
Mhm.
And that distinction feels meaningless to a lot of us, but it's really powerful when you get down to brass tacks, when you see these use cases around the world. And if I always think that technology starts on the edge cases. I think back in the day it was like, who's going to watch videos online? Like, what person would even want to do that? And there were people who actually wanted to do that. It was an edge case, and then it becomes the mainstream. So that's now you guys are. I think you can see how crypto people talk about it as like the matrix, like red pilling or whatever pill,
Sure.
and you start to see the world of money. and the current system and maybe the flaws inherent in that system, and how if everything else, technology is progressing everything else in our lives forward, why wouldn't money be next?
Mm.
And then you kind of like get into it and you start reading about it and you just never see the world the same again because you're down the rabbit hole.
You took the red pill.
That's
There you go.
Tracy's husband this morning knew that we were doing a podcast about this, and he was like, "I can't wait for you to come home tonight."
And tell me that we have to put all our money.
Well,
Yeah.
you could become a very annoying crypto person. Like I
like being vegan.
no 100 like that person at the party that you're like people are now are like, oh, Rachel's coming, and like in the corner, and I'm like, do you guys want to talk about Bitcoin? They're like, definitely not this day. Yeah. I'm like, but have you ever thought about inflation? They're like, we just want to drink our cocktail. Yeah.
So I'm trying to put it in like ways that my pea-like brain can understand. So we have a 401k. Some years it does good, and some years it does not do good. A couple years ago, we lost like a ton of money in it because the stock market crashed or whatever. The stocks went down that we were invested in. And then you're like, oh, well, that sucks. I just lost all this money, but hopefully I'll get it back the next year.
Yeah.
In a Bitcoin situation, it's still volatile because there's still value attached to it, but it's not tied to whatever is happening in your specific country and your specific government and your specific monetary system.
You guys have got this. I would also say this about Bitcoin in particular. So I'm from Seattle, I told you guys. I was reading a book about the early days of Amazon. And Jeff Bezos was like this young, geeky guy running around Seattle with this big idea that eventually people would start buying stuff from the internet.
Gotcha.
And he started with books. And he was like on the golf course with like rich dudes trying to raise money for this idea of his. And I don't know that he was selling like, my idea is to take down Barnes and Noble.
Right.
What a huge idea. He was like on the golf course, he was like, sure. I'm starting with books. That's like a thing people want to do and get a hold of. But the idea he was selling is like, as fiber optic cables get laid down and as the infrastructure improves and as the internet speeds up, I'm telling you, e-commerce will be a thing. Like buying stuff off of the internet will replace buying stuff in real life. That is my vision. And you, for the low price of $50K, can help me achieve that vision. And if you believe in this thesis that this internet technology is going to grow, then you can actually invest in my business. And probably I'm as a first mover. If this internet thing takes off, you can assume I'll take off and my book business will take off and I can expand to new places. My mom and dad lived in Seattle. They were not on those golf courses. They did not have the opportunity to write that check to a pre-IPO Jeff Bezos who was starting Amazon. And nor did I think they get to hear the pitch about his vision, where this internet thing was going. The difference today with crypto is if you get smart, if you look at all this, if you view blockchain technology, the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper as a fundamental breakthrough in technology, a novel innovation, and a paradigm shift in terms of the way money's going to work, but frankly, things will be built on top of this blockchain as being that, and then you understand that we're in the early innings. Where this all goes, we're still don't know, but similar to a bet on Amazon as a bet that the internet's going to explode. Everyone has access to Bitcoin, right? Like you don't, and we have the internet now, so all of us have access to the information and the thesis of where this could go. And so if you want to, you can have a position in that. If you think this is important, if you think this is novel, if you think this is going to have this huge impact in the world, and you want to take the long view, there's lots of ways that you can invest. And so I think that's like the most basic way I describe it to my friends with that analogy to like the early days of the internet.
And you think that if you invest now, and again, you cannot give us investment advice.
I cannot. Who knows?
But if you invest now and the value only goes up, am I understanding this correctly? Even though there's a set cap at 21 million Bitcoin.
Mhm.
that when it becomes a main currency, you're gonna
At the top of the food chain.
you're gonna get more money, just for people who don't invest to
Yeah, like
understand how that works.
yeah, you know how when you invest in the stock market, a lot of people can give you you could go to Charles Schwab or Fidelity and say like in general, roughly, if I put
Uh-huh.
X amount in this basket of equities or assets or something, like what does all the data tell you through ups and downs? If I just hold steady for 20 years, about how much of a return can I expect? And then you can plan around that, right? There's like really smart people who analyze this. So some people look at crypto this way. Like you could look at Bitcoin and sort of say, look, as part of my long-term view, um, who knows where this goes, but if it returns even X amount, it'd be worth it. And then the chances that it returns an outsized amount compared to the rest of my sort of financial planning, that would also be cool. So people are there are a lot of people who are viewing it through that lens, I think, just like any investment.
And why is it safer?
Yeah, I want to talk about what are the downsides of all of this?
Well, let's see. The downsides, well, with all technology, as you guys have seen with social media, it's a big conversation right now. I think rightly, big tech companies are under a lot of scrutiny, and it makes sense, right? We've created these things. They've brought a lot of good to the world. They've dropped a lot of barriers. They've democratized a whole lot of things, and then of course there's unintended consequences. But really, and so I think with crypto and when you're talking about money, um, there's a whole lot of good that people are focused on. But of course, there are um, probably unintended consequences that we should anticipate. We should probably do a better job anticipating than I think we did over the last 20 years ish out of Silicon Valley. And I think with lots of tools like this, it's not unlike cash. Like bad people who need to move money around and they want to do it in a way that's hard to trace. There is a perception that crypto enables that, although I would argue it's far superior than cash. So that's one aspect of sort of a full blown crypto economy that I think folks have to be smart about. Governments, I think, for Coinbase, for example, the view we take is just like any technology, governments like the United States government, you want to enable this. You want to make sure we can incubate this tech here in the United States and benefit from the economic benefits of that. But you also want to set really smart rules that protect people, protect customers, and keep folks safe. So we're probably looking at, in the same way I think the internet, you had to create all new types of laws around
Mhm.
copyright and stuff like that. We are probably looking at a whole new type of set of regulations and kinds of laws to create those boundaries around what a fully digitized financial system built on blockchains. How we make sure we get the full benefit of it while we're managing like any of the bad stuff.
Because how do taxes work? Like, are you taxed on your gains of Bitcoin?
Yeah, right now this is for sure. Don't quote me. We're actually working on this, but the tax situation. So this is where the traditional financial system and government systems run right up against this new emerging crypto system. And in some ways, companies like Coinbase make it feel really seamless, but in other ways, you run up against these really awkward moments. So if you're trying to just buy coffee with your Bitcoin, it could be a taxable event. That's just weird, right? And so the government, the IRS, I think folks are starting to take this seriously and understand the rules of the road for this, so long as we have sort of two financial systems, one kind of emerging and one that's set up. And so I think the good news is, like, especially in the United States, folks are taking this actually seriously compared to 10 years ago. I think it used to be like, what is this Bitcoin? It's for bad people only and freaks and geeks. And it's come a really long way to where people now understand this to be a really important technology. And so they need to be super thoughtful about the rules and the laws and the way you think about all the little details like taxes and stuff like that.
Because like,
Coinbase
what if you
provides,
like
yeah,
just like made it big? Like, say you got your grandfather died and you just got gifted like $2 million.
yeah.
Could you load it all up to Bitcoin and then like skip town and not have to pay any taxes? I mean, is that kind of where the
I
Wild
don't.
West is right now?
I don't know if you could do that. Actually, I think the West could have been that wild 10 years ago. I think it no longer is. I think it's hard to use this technology to get around the rules. I mean, you certainly can't use Coinbase to do things like that. But it would be similar to cash. It would be like getting that, putting it in a bag,
Right.
and skipping town with cash in a bag. I mean, you can try. I don't know if you're gonna. I
A
don't know.
great idea.
I don't think it's a great idea. I don't think you'll get away with it either. Yeah.
And just to clarify, just because I still don't
Mm.
understand, uh, what's making it go up and down? If I'm watching my $100 and one day I have 95 and the next day I have 105, if it's not influenced by normal economic ups and
Mm.
downs, what is that?
So, what's making, say, Bitcoin go up and down is just a great question. And I think there are lots. So, when you're analyzing a stock, right, of a company, you can kind of understand why um, Gap Inc. is up or down every quarter,
Hmm.
right? They set expectations. They say, this is our big holiday season. We expect this type of revenue, the number of sales to be X. They either, and then people sort of buy the stock based on those expectations, and then they either, make hit those goals or they don't, and then analysts and but traders decide if they're going to drop the stock or buy more. So to your point, there's like real fundamentals that underpin the current stock market. The fundamentals around cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin in particular are sort of emerging. I think it's what what should folks analyze when it comes to the value of a Bitcoin in US, in dollar amount. I think it's a this it, again. I always say don't quote me on this, but this is a podcast, so I guess this is a quote no matter what. But what gives it value is all over the map right now, and that's what makes it a bit of a volatile asset to
Because like,
own.
is it as simple as like if say this podcast has 5 million viewers and
Mm-hmm.
in one day everyone goes and dumps in and buys $100 of Bitcoin, it's going to make the price go up in value because there's been a surge of interest and a surge of influx of money. But in
That's
the
right.
next day, if everyone's like, I'm taking it out to buy my latte, they're pulling
Hmm.
out and that makes the money go down because there's not as much there anymore.
Exactly. It's demand. It's who's buying it, who's selling it, setting that price. Exchanges setting a price based on that. It's a marketplace for Bitcoin right
And
now.
this is all based on code though. These set prices, it's all based on computer algorithms rather than
Yeah,
people. I mean, it's still, I suppose the
yeah,
stock market is still an algorithm too.
yeah. I mean, it's the exchanges like Coinbase who are sort of managing this market around the price. Um, and that's driven by demand. When more people want to own something like Bitcoin, it actually gets more expensive to own. And when less people want to own it, the price sort of drops. That's probably the easiest way to think about it. And so the thing is, why people want to own it at any given time and why people are selling out of it at any given time. In the traditional stock market, it's pretty easy to understand what's going on there, the sentiment there. In crypto right now, it's a little all over the place. Who knows why someone just, you know, exited their position or why someone bought into a lot of Bitcoin or, with you guys there, sometimes it is like um, some event somewhere, something happened and a bunch of people had a thought and then the price goes up because a lot of people want to own it. So that's why it's sort of early days, but it has been stabilizing. It's gone through some really big. It kind of, if you go look at like Bitcoin, like a chart of Bitcoin over the last 5 years or whatever, 6 years, you see these peaks and then it goes down, then it goes up even further than the last peak, then it goes down. So there's some patterns you can start to see, but it's still a little bit anyone's guess.
And how do y'all make money? How does Coinbase make the money?
Coinbase makes money when people trade cryptocurrencies. So if you guys come to Coinbase, it's not just, every time you buy something off of PayPal and
Right.
you want to send your friend,
Just
they're
take
charged like a couple
A fee. Yeah.
bucks, like a fee. That's all we do. So trading fees. So our business is largely, which is kind of a funny way to run a business. We are completely at the whim of the market, and it's a kooky market. So
Are you
when
paid
everyone,
in cryptocurrency?
lots of employees are.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah, like early employees. I mean, I think our founders, the two wonderful guys who founded this place, I think they took their salary exclusively in Bitcoin for the first couple of years, for sure. And there's total believers around here who are like, I only accept Bitcoin in my salary. They'll transact in it. Like, yeah, it's all over the map. And then other people are like, I'm holding my Bitcoin. Like, it's completely
But if
everywhere.
you take your salary in Bitcoin, how do you buy groceries with Bitcoin?
don't.
I
You
don't think you do. Yeah,
You
maybe
just
you
hold it and
maybe you shave off a little bit to get some ramen, and you just hold the rest,
you hold the rest.
and you try to pay.
Because and that's like your second contribution because you're getting paid, but it's this fluid idea. So you're holding something that's
Yeah,
not actually tangible cash that can pay the rent.
yeah. Like, this is what I mean by like, how do you get Bitcoin? Like, right now, you and I have to basically exchange our cash for Bitcoin.
Mhm.
But I think for employees of Coinbase, you don't have to exchange your cash. You can simply just get paid in Bitcoin. That's
Earn it.
one way to earn it. Yeah.
Mhm.
We think earning crypto, by the way, is going to be a really big deal in the future. Like doing tasks to earn crypto instead of exchanging your money for crypto will be another way like adoption spreads and more people have it.
Oh,
I'm going to start
interesting.
paying my kids in crypto for their chores.
You should. There is
That actually got a
literally-
like in your world, that's like a brilliant idea because your kids would be like super rich by the time they go to college.
you should see. I mean, like in the early days when Brian started this company, he was like, Bitcoin's going to be a big deal, and I'm going to create this product where people like can buy it easily. He was like had to run around town talking to like big time investors and important people about this Bitcoin thing. And they're like, okay. And the way he got them to kind of understand the product he was building is he does this all the time. So he would send them Bitcoin. He'd be like, watch, just download this app and I'm going to send it to you and then you'll own Bitcoin. And it's great. And they'd be like, okay, you kooky kid. And these people woke up 10 years later and were like, what? The Bitcoin that Brian Armstrong gave me, that was a great gift 10 years ago. It is no joke. Like, I mean, I think gifting Bitcoin is going to be my thing, and just tell people, you're welcome. Do what you will with it.
Oh,
But it
interesting.
is yours. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Like when my I feel like
Do you
like
gift
I'm
Bitcoin with your own Bitcoin or do you gift Bitcoin with your cash?
with my own Bitcoin. I exchange my cash for my Bitcoin, and then I send it to people and say, you're welcome. Take it. Take this
Okay.
Bitcoin.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll be downloading the app and waiting for my gift.
Coming.
Oh my gosh. Well, I certainly learned far more than I started knowing in this
Do you guys feel like?
conversation.
Do you feel like you can head out to your mom cruise and like explain
No.
this if someone asks?
I think I get it in
broadly.
an abstract idea, but it is an abstract idea. You know,
Yeah.
it is abstract.
Yeah.
There's nothing like super concrete about it except really believing that one day this is going to be the way.
Well, think about it this way: if someone in the early days had said, "What is the internet?" you would have been like, "I don't know. It's like I use AOL and
Yeah.
I send an email," and they wouldn't have been like, "No, but explain the technology that makes it so you can send words across computers." You wouldn't really care about that. So that's why Bitcoin's kind of a mind trip for people, because I'm like, I don't know. You can definitely read about how it works and its code and its tech, but the why is more interesting to me, and the what it's going to enable is more interesting than trying to like bang your head against a wall reading a white paper and trying to understand this stuff.
But the difference when you explain, like, remember, nobody thought of
Mm,
changing our minds about the way mail is, for example. The difference
yeah.
is that the internet gives you immediate
Yes.
gratification. So it's
Yes.
communication that's happening in the moment. So then
Yes.
you take a very complicated issue like money,
Mm,
and then you put another complicated thing on top of that, which is time
Or
yes.
tech.
or tech. And then you say, who knows what this will be in 20 years? It is
Mm,
very different than, oh my gosh, I just got a correspondence
I was able to talk to
through
my
the
great
wall.
grandma in Scotland all of a
Yeah.
sudden.
And
that's the big challenge of crypto. Everyone in the industry will tell you that your guys' point is exactly correct. If utility is not there, this the investment phase will not go anywhere. So you guys
Gotcha.
are not wrong. Your instincts are exactly correct when you're saying, but what do you do with this internet money, this magical internet money? That is the question. And what you do with it is lots of people have lots of opinions at this moment. But truly, I would say utility isn't fully there and adoption isn't fully there. And that's what we're at the start of. And
Mhm.
it may take off, it may not. At the very least, you can be a part of it by investing or building,
because when you tell me
building
that my
something.
$100 is probably not going to be $200, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
then that says to me, well, great. So I have to put in $100,000 to
Yeah.
get, maybe $120,000. Okay. The first thing, completely impossible for me.
Yeah.
So for our moms at home, even if you're telling me in 20 years that everyone's going to be doing this, my $100 is still going to just be $105.
Well, this is why I don't give investment advice. The advice I give to moms when I'm out and about in the world is I think that if I leave your audience with one message, it is this thing is not weird. It's happening.
Hmm.
Really interesting people are entering the space. It will probably go somewhere. And I think minimally, I would encourage moms to not assume this is for freaks and geeks. I would encourage moms to read about this when they can and to stay curious about it because it may not make sense for a lot of people to invest in today, but it might someday, or the tools that are being built. There could be a mom out there that really can benefit from those tools.
Mm.
And so I think it's just a smart industry to keep your eye on for like
Mm.
a myriad of reasons. And just don't turn away. Don't assume it's for someone else, someone smarter, someone geekier, someone who gets technology. I
Mm.
just think there's going to be a lot of value in understanding this as much as you can, as early as you
Where do we
Okay.
access Hoochie Gucci's white paper? And
Oh
is
my
it
God.
like, can you read it? Can you actually read it like a real person?
can. You can. I think you can just Google.
I mean,
That's
I'm an English major.
right up Tracy's alley. It's like my worst
Definitely.
nightmare and
Well,
right
I'm
up
like,
her
give me the
alley.
damn white paper. Like, is it actually, is it written for the people? Is it like, or is it like
No.
high-minded, this guy, person, woman is
no.
brilliant?
So definitely don't Google Hoochie Coochie. Definitely Google Satoshi Nakamoto.
I'll write it in the show notes, guys.
And if you Google Hoochie Coochie, I don't think you'll stumble upon this white
Got
paper.
it. Got it.
So definitely stick to Satoshi Nakamoto white paper. It'll pop up right on Google. This is the thing we say at Coinbase. It's kind of like, I don't know. For me, like Shakespeare was very difficult to grok, but I just had to power through and like read it and like figure like smart people read Shakespeare and they get it. I'm a smart person, so I'm just going to read it until I get it. That's what the white paper was like to me. So I think you can do it. It's not written for normal people. It's super technical.
Mm.
But I've read it a couple times and it's stuff sunk in. Can't you
Okay.
tell by this
Yeah.
conversation?
And then the other question is, I mean, is this really, this feels very, to be honest, very Robin Hoody to me. Like there's like this
Mm,
like altruistic sort of utopian aspect to this whole, this feels very like, Atlas Shrugged, like this whole thing is like
mm,
this vision of the future that's outside of what our normal like standard life is. And is that are y'all just a bunch of optimists that are just like believing in this thing because it's better and
mm.
different and not the standard, patriarchal government? Or am I just like, is that just me? Cause I think like that, generally speaking.
No, you are picking up on some techtopian vibes coming out of this space for sure. I mean, I think if I've learned anything in my career in Silicon Valley, it's that these things start with folks who are deeply ideological, who like
Okay.
really do want to change the world. They want to change the world for the better. Their vision of what better is debatable, probably.
Okay.
But I think there's decent intentions at the heart of a lot of these technological innovations. And then over time, I think there's a pragmatic version of it. I think where I personally fall, and I think Coinbase as a culture falls into the in general, technology is a force that moves us forward
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately improves lives. And so I just don't personally think like trying to put toothpaste back in a tube is ever possible in the society we live in. And so I'm optimistic in that. I think tech does lots of great things, from helping us communicate better, connect us globally, curing cancers, like all the things.
Sure.
And then it also has other intended consequences. And by the way, it also doesn't do all the things the early people said it would do. So I think if you think back to, again, the early days of social media, people are like, oh my God, it's going to wipe out TV. It's going to wipe out radio. Well, look, we're right back. I mean, radio never went
podcasting?
and we're right back to podcasting. This is what I say. Like,
Yeah.
number one, radio never went anywhere. And then actually we returned to, there's something human about this format. Like, people love it. And and technology didn't wipe out anything. It just changed what radio is. So I think when you think about the future of money, is there a universe of people who have a really like crazy vision that's like sci-fi of what this is all going to lead to? Sure. And they're very excited about that. Is there a world where it evolves in ways where you guys and I wake up in 20 years and we're like, oh, isn't it funny how we used to like have to wait like 5 days to like transfer money to my mom, and now things are so easy and people start businesses. And isn't it cool how the next big tech company was actually built in Nairobi, and what ended up enabling that. So I think things feel not that revolutionary when they actually start to take hold. And and to your guys' earlier point, old systems may still exist. The US dollar may always exist, and it could exist alongside a crypto economy. Who knows? So to me, I think it's mostly exciting. Moms should just think about money, and now tech is coming.
Sure.
Tech is coming for your money. So just dig in, pay attention.
Okay.
Don't let this stuff take you by surprise.
No, I appreciate that. I think I think for sure the older I get, the more I realize I've sort of just wandered through the world, unaware, and because it's scary or hard, or I have to sit down and think, like you said, and especially as moms, on top of everything else, let's also learn about money. But we absolutely should. You're so right.
Yeah. You'll be glad.
All right. Well,
Rachel, I think
Rachael,
you guys can do it. You're going to go out into the world and you're going to corner people and you're going to be like, I need to tell you about Bitcoin. And
well, anyone who knows me knows that by to the end of tonight, there will be $100. And I don't know.
I didn't tell you.
You didn't tell me. I will do it and I will report back. I don't have any compliance issues. I'll be very clear. I'll figure it out.
Good luck, you guys.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for educating us. And we've been wanting to do a Bitcoin episode for a long time. So
thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it.
All right. We will put all of your info in the show notes, and then we will send you information on how to share this with your people too.
Yeah. Okay. Do it. Oh my gosh. There's really passionate people online about this stuff. So
I'm sure.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you have thoughts, questions, feedback, opinions, if you've got stories from your own life that you want to share, please download the Band of Mothers app and join the Band of Mothers podcast discussion group and share everything there. Our guests come in there and are happy to answer questions. And we love to hear your stories and your follow-ups and your thoughts about all of our episodes. And that's a great, safe place to do it. So download the Band of Mothers app on iOS or in the Android store. Join the Band of Mothers podcast group, and we'll see you there.
Before we were